Now we have this amazing pawn storm game between Bourdonnais, one of the strongest player basically in the early 1800s, and McDonald. All right, well, Bourdonnais has black. So interestingly, right, he's playing a Sicilian in the early 1800s. So really early to play Sicilian. Everyone's doing E4, E5, right? So I have 3, nice E6, D4, pawn. So this is the old Sicilian. The modern Sicilian's D6, right? It's still played. I mean, if you're going to go for like accelerate dragon, you could do the same thing. And take, and G6. All right, so he goes for E5, which is interesting. Like Sveshnikov style. I think this is actually the Sveshnikov. But similar move orders, we get E5 in. And usually they go knight B5 these days. Now, this, again, given his lack of understanding, McDonald's taking on C6 is not good. You're supposed to go knight B5, and usually black will go like D6 to stop the knight from coming in. And, you know, they got the backward pawn, but they often hit him with that 5 and things like that. So knight takes C6, but this is just good. Take toward the center. We're going to get D5 in most likely, right? So tries to hold him back with bishop C4. Well, now he's still also thinking about going D5. Okay. Well, the bishop pins that. Oh, and by the way, another problem here. Like I said, there'd be the backward pawn and there's the weak D5 square to blockade it. Now D5 is covered. And if anything, it becomes black's strength. And black has, like, as is typical in a Sicilian, black has a massive pawns in the center. He's just waiting to push. So they already have equilibrium with E4, E5, but he's ready for D5. And he's, you know, by trading off the D pawn for the C pawn, right? He gets rid of some of his center. And then he trades the knights, which brings the B pawn in. So it's almost like effectively was a D pawn for B pawn kind of, right? And it just gives him, wait, would that be? Well, I mean, effectively, yeah, sort of pulls him in the center. I mean, we both have C pawns, but you don't have a B pawn. But instead, it looks like you're shifting your B pawn to a D pawn. So massive center. Bishop B7, Queen E2, D5, bishop takes, bishop B3. So you see again, he's kind of making an effort to undermine D5, but it didn't work out. He still got his D5 push in. Computer says minus 0.8, understandably. Black's got a big initiative. He has a bishop pair, huge center. Bishop has to retreat. Simply castles. Castles. Why not? Let's throw the pawn at him, see what he does. Takes the pawn, takes back. Now, again, think about his trading choices. Just lack of understanding. Once again, what's being traded? It's not really for a D pawn. What's actually being traded here? What's effectively the trade?
Well, you said B for D, but why take back there? Why not play bishop A6 and skewer the queen against the rook?
Bishop C4. Oh, yeah, he wants that, but now there's bishop C4 because he got rid of the D pawn current.
Okay.
But then he could do it. And he has an A4 threat. So it's very problematic. So, but effectively, again, he's not, the D pawn's there. Effectively, he's not trading the D pawn. He's trading E for C. What, you punch a hole on E and C. Those are missing, right? So again, he's giving up. That was the B pawn, came the C file, then comes to D5. So now, because of the E for C, black has 2 pawns in the center. So he keeps trading central pawns for wing pawns. Not good. And the bishop pair. Black is like strategically winning almost. I mean, now it comes down to tactics, though. It's great strategically, but he still has a couple. You know, that's a good move, I guess. Get the rook off the diagonal. Look at the pawn. So yeah, he still has some resistance. Okay, D4, but in general, it's very strong for black. If he can consolidate everything, bishop pair, huge center. C4. It could definitely translate into a kingside attack. Okay, queen B6, as it does. Bishop C2. Yeah, C4 is just not a good move. It's giving him a passed pawn, and it gives up the pressure on the C pawn, right? He loses the chance to play C3. It's just a bad move. Again, showing lack of understanding. Well, we have to exploit it beautifully. Nice place for a bishop, right? So he's not interested. Well, if he takes the B pawn, it's going to be messy, right? Like rook B1, maybe bishop sacks on H7, desperado, and then rook B1. He gets the bishop back, it looks like. So not ideal. Forget about the B pawn. Just develop. Tucks it away to go F5. Who cares? The computer said, oh, you go E7, whatever. This is fine. He's rerouting it.
Hey, Dave, I got an idea.
Yeah.
How about, wait, go back, go forward.
Yeah.
right there. Okay, how about queen to C3 with the threat of pushing the
That's what he does. C6, right? I know what you
Queen
mean.
six.
Yeah, I know what
C6?
you mean.
Yeah, queen c6.
Well, I mean, you can say queen to queen bishop 3 from Black's perspective. You can say
Okay.
queen. You could say queen bishop 3 or C6.
Yeah,
Although they are faint, I don't like. The only thing I don't like about this is, well, I guess I have to switch colors, but it's very faint. Anyway, yeah, queen C6, F3, but so he stops him. But now he's. Let me get rid of these annotations and stuff. Hold on. We don't need all that. We'll look at it like it's a normal chessboard. All right. To the extent that we can. Okay, so bishop e7, he comes back again. So now he's like, well, look, if I kick your knight, I'm just going to win your c pawn. I win your c pawn, my bishop hits you on the diagonal. I'm threatening to unleash my bishop from c5. But yeah, you just go bishop e7, kick the knight, take the c pawn. Or maybe the knight has to block and take the knight. But he's going to win a pawn at least. But keep in mind, I mean, f3 is a weakening move too. You know, he's feebly trying to hold on, but he has opened up the diagonal. That all matters. And again, this is all like we talked about with the Petrosian game. This is all the precursor, the prelude to the pawn storm. Like I said, you know, keeps trading wing pawns for central pawns, or his central for the wing pawns. So now Black, look at the result. Black has 2 rolling pawns already. It was kind of a little pawn storm in the center, but we're obviously not done yet, just like the Petrosian game. We're going to keep throwing stuff at him. Well, here we go. F5, that's coming. Queen C4 check. Just move away. Same with Petrosian. Remember, he allowed the check, didn't do anything. Now he's got a crisis with the knight. Queen A4. Okay, whatever. Bishop A4, whatever. Just swing over to H6. And there we have our exchange stack. Now this is a nice positional sack. Well, positional and attacking, but you know, it makes a lot of sense. It's just irresistible. Why is it so good to give up the exchange and not take back on E8, but simply take the knight? Why do you guys just anticipate this? See it in your head. Because you'd have to make that decision about actually, you'd have to make the decision now. Because he has check and here. So if you see that, it doesn't matter though. It really doesn't matter. So the computer, I think, was suggesting queen h6 first. Okay, you preclude all that. But still, whatever. Doesn't matter. This is because you actually are sort of baiting him. Okay, why does he, you know, why does he not care? Where would we say here? Why is this good for Black after bishop takes rook and pawn takes knight? Think about that.
because of the coordination of the B bishop and the F pawn.
You got that. Oh, the F pawn becomes the E pawn, but then the E pawn hits the F3 pawn and smashes it up. And again, we're seeing the vulnerability there because we're going to chip at the F pawn, which is going to unleash our bishop. And now we're going to have 2 bishops, we're going to have uncontested light square bishop because they're giving up the. Oh no, my bad. The bishop's still going to be there. But yeah, it's bad. It's very bad on the diagonal. He can play C6 maybe. We can reroute. But I mean, he's going to be chipping at F3. He's going to still have the center coming. And as you're going to see, it's crushing. Because it's actually going to sort of, this is going to be the culmination of his pawn storm. It's building and building, right? It's coming to a head. Very frothy. C6. Okay, now he's hanging. So like, look, we're down in exchange. So he's currently hanging his bishop, but their bishop's hanging. He has queen e3 check. It's actually very direct tactically. So I think it's just, yeah, it's bad. Let's say it takes. Okay, let's imagine we go queen e3 check. He has to get off this line, right? So he goes king h1. So imagine how strong this is. So now we have superior position leading to tactics. Tactics flow from a superior position, as Fisher said, right? So what's it going to be? Queen e3 check, king h1, then what?
Pawn takes G pawn.
Of course, take, king takes, and then what?
And bring the rook.
Right. Rook in, that doesn't look good. Is there a mate there? Let's see. Looks like there should be. I think it should be mating. Let's see. So we should check first. Don't push, you lock it up. Don't do that. So check. You cannot walk into the rook. So it goes here. Check. Let's double check what's the best way here. Well, we got to keep him. Ultimately, we have to keep him out of H1. I mean, which we can easily do. So rook check forces the king. Well, I mean, rook check forces him to walk into our discovery. So yeah, we just have to do a discovery. That's it. I mean, we could even win the queen. We don't care about the queen. We care about mate. Yeah, we got him. Where do we move the rook to get the mate? Can't go queen G3, unfortunately. Otherwise, that would win easily. Where do we go to catch him? Got to be precise though.
um, how about queen to F3?
That's what I'm saying. It's the precision there is important.
Oh,
What would you do? Think about that. You're trying to mate him on G2. What would you do to stop him? You see it?
Rook E2.
You still made him on G2. So he has to cover G2. How does he do that? Queen F3.
Well, then you would play queen F3. He goes back to G1, and then you got queen G2.
No, that's what I'm saying. Queen F3 doesn't work though. You're not going to mate him on G2.
Oh,
That's the
well,
problem.
I meant if you played rook D or E2 right
For
now,
right now.
it's
Yeah, no. What I'm
discovered
saying is,
check.
why? No, my question is, why doesn't this work? And then we'll do that.
Oh, be-
Just responding to Todd's move here.
sorry.
That's okay. And then yeah, you're right though. You move the rook, and then you're coming in. And the fact that
Well,
if
you
you
move your
corner,
queen now. He's
then you have queen F3. But okay, Todd, our default should be the most forcing move, checks.
yeah,
So this is a threat. First checks, then captures, then threats. Well, mate threat's pretty big,
okay,
but why not do it with a check, right?
right.
That's why.
Yeah,
But well, what's the defense though? It doesn't quite work now. What's the defense?
bishop C6.
Exactly. Now you might think, okay, I can push. Well, then you just take it because then the rook falls. It actually doesn't work at all. Might lose. So you takes the rook and he's up materials. Two rooks for a
Well,
bishop.
he's
Oh
also
wait, 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 oh wait, 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 wait,
pushes
wait,
the
wait, wait.
queen or the
He's about to
pawn to
queen. He's about to
get mate.
queen. Oh no, no. What? Well, the problem is, well, actually, it's not mate because there's like a bishop
Oh,
block.
well, you got the
Yeah,
bishop
yeah.
block.
You clear this, then you can promote. Yeah, we'll just toss this in. Why not? Let's just toss in a new queen, and then we could take. I mean, yeah, it's not good. I mean, if you want to, you can like stack here. I mean, whatever. You could bishop take. There's no follow up. Bishop, yeah, yeah. It's all lost. So you can't. That's the problem. You have to be very precise. But obviously, and that's why we're gonna do the check. And as you said, once you look at this, you're like, okay, whatever. Rook anywhere, rook here, whatever.
yeah, that's definitely.
And then yeah, I go here, you mate, and then here, then we insert the check. And again, no threats. We're not making threats. We're going check, and then we're mating. We're not going to waste time on like queen here, although that might work. But why are we going to do that if we have check and mate, right?
Right.
Yep. Okay. So a lot of important concepts. So he takes, but now we have the makings of a vicious pawn storm. It's just continuing, really rolling in pawn storm, pawn roller, rook c2. Queen check. Oh, apparently he messed up there. Well, as with most brilliant games, it's imperfect. So Queen E3 check. Is it showing lighter, like more faded color for you guys, or it's still the same?
Uh, color, I'm seeing green.
No, you're still seeing the same. The board looks the same to you
Uh,
because I went into battery saving mode, but you're still good,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's just the only difference is I see a green arrow with the bishop and a blue.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's what it's saying is the better move. It looks like Bishop A6. Oh, because the bishop's hanging wants to lure the queen away or something. I guess that was apparently the more accurate move, but whatever. Okay, so he should have blocked, and it was they weren't as good defenders back then. But I mean, yeah, you can see this is putting up some resistance. I guess he figured, well, he's just gonna take me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it still obviously seems pretty good. If Bishop comes in, pile up on it. That looks pretty good too. But I guess he has some miraculous escape there. But anyway, he does this. Bishop simply moves away. A little just like in the Petrosian game. Little defense. Look, he wants to take and promote. Let's just move away. He's got nothing now. It's all us. And again, similarly, if he takes, we're going to break through with check and all that. F2. Let me get it. Yeah, I don't know. I thought I took away those best move arrow. We have that. All right. Well, we can leave that. We'll take away all that best move arrow and all. Okay. Okay, here we go.
Wow.
And now, but I mean, look, whatever imperfections there were, again, this is the key concept that we want to see. So, forget about the imperfections. It's still a masterpiece,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, even Kasparov's Immortal, I'm pretty sure there was a draw there too. Now he takes it. Keep coming. Now, why did he take it now? I think he didn't want to get the rook lured away to see it to see it. Also, you know that you're easily covering d8 now with 2. You still have to keep an eye
What?
out. No, there is queen c8 though.
Can't you? I was gonna say, can't you sack the queen?
There is queen c8. So yeah, that's
What
something.
about e8?
Where?
E8, queen e8,
E1?
e8, queen to e8, or sorry, e1. Yes, I'm looking at the board backwards.
Yeah. Right now? Let's see. Probably then the other rook goes. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what he's gonna do. Then the other rook goes back. Nope, doesn't work right now. He needs e4. Why? Again,
Oh,
so again, you see when we are looking at these attacking moves, it's very important.
right.
You may have seen it in a real game, but remember the habit when you're looking at these attractive attacking moves, you make a master. You don't want to spoil your masterpiece. So you really have to look at those. Now here it's obvious, he'll just that's why he plays this because he'll just take d3, covers f1, and that could spoil it, right? Which is exactly why he plays this move. Then he wants to come in. But yeah, you see, it's a mode of thinking, right? To really make sure you're anticipating these best responses, right? So it's defensive thinking to attack. Does that make sense? You have
Yeah.
to be always thinking defensively and asking, what are they? At the very least, you're anticipating. But that's not just you can't just do lip service to it, right? But you're like literally every move saying, what if he does this? What if he does this? Am I creating a vulnerability? Do they have a counterattack? You see what I mean? Just be paranoid. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
be paranoid. Because
That,
we've all lost games like that. We slipped away, so you don't want that to happen.
yeah, that happens to me a lot. Like, I'm winning, it looks like easily, and then he catches me on a move like that.
Yeah, like suddenly, the worst case scenario is you like lift a rook and try to mate them, and then you get back and mate it. That's like the classic, right? That we all learn. But now this is just a more sophisticated version of it. Okay, so e4, queen c8, and another little prophylactic move, bishop d8. Well, just direct defense, bishop
Oh,
d8. He's
yeah.
fine.
Oh,
Why
wow.
not, right? A little defense. No, it's not we like to see those one-sided miniatures, but I mean, it is one-sided, but there's still a couple of 3-4 defensive moves, maybe. Okay, queen c4. There's your move, Matt, once he's ready. And what's a nice follow-up to rook c1?
Take the C rook. Wait a
Not
minute.
yet. Well, if the
Not,
queen take, no, not yet. It won't work yet. Probably.
how about,
Keep building.
push the, what is it,
Yep.
the D pawn?
There you go. Because now you're ready to get new queens. One queen, another queen, rook opening, right? You have too many queens coming. So we can't take. Queen c5, okay. Well, that's a mate threat. Look at this. Brilliant. Rook
Yeah.
g8. Rook g8. It says -7. He's completely winning. But look, I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? So, but you have to know that you have enough resources. His rooks are petrified. All he's got is his queen. No, he's actually, well, I mean, the rook on c1's hanging. So there's no time to do anything. So he goes rook d1. X-ray defense. Brilliant, right? Amazing situation. But of course, we know what's coming next. Overwhelming, because we're going to do what? Again, you have to know you have enough resources, which of course you do here, but you have to make sure everything works. Otherwise, well, I mean, obviously the bishop and rook can come out later, but yeah, you want to make sure you have enough resources. So what's your resource here? Again, your queen's fine. She's going to hang out on e1.
How about pushing the E pawn?
Yeah, there's the conclusion of your pawn storm. We're just going to go e3. So it's I mean, this is the pawn storm, the classic pawn storm. Pawn storm, pawn roller, I don't think it matters, whatever. But pawns are shoving forward a lot. Let's just keep that. Let's just do that. Just remember that. However you want to define that. And then this is just just like the other game, he finishes with flair.
E7, I mean E2.
Let's see here. I think would it all work? Let me see. He has another move. It's just pretty cool. Let me see. He sacks his queen first. I don't know if it makes a huge difference. It might be quicker. It's probably the quickest win, yeah. So you want to be able to take. Yeah, I don't think it matters, but he just chose this way. What'd the queen do?
Take the D pawn.
The D rook,
Yeah, the D rook.
and then
And then push the
uh-huh.
push the E pawn.
Yes. So we have this famous position now. And I think when I clicked on him, you saw a picture of that.
Oh yeah, right.
Have you guys seen this position here?
Yeah. I've
Pretty
seen
cool, right?
those.
It's funny. I saw one game. I forget who it was. It was an IM or FM, and I think he played in a blitz game again. It was a King's Indian, and he got something like this. I think it was the same pawns, or maybe it was like the GF and E. That's the only other time I've seen this pattern. Very rare. If you get to play this in your chess career, pretty cool, right? But it's funny. It's actually very similar. Where if you have a lone rook, well, two pawns on the sixth are going to win because then they're going to make it to the seventh. So here you need maybe three of them because you got a queen nearby. So we have three overwhelming a queen and a rook, and a back rank for the king. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
But again, it's the precursor matters though. It really it comes down to this move, It starts with this move, right? Because if they hadn't done that, he wouldn't have had d5, and that d pawn wouldn't have made it to d2, right?
Yeah.
And then you see and remember, well, then we have this one. Now the c, so now he's got the 2. And then he doesn't challenge the pawn, so he gets to stay there as a passed pawn. And then he's going to use his f pawn as the third one. And then he's going to do the brilliant exchange, well, pretty direct, but brilliant exchange sack, which enables his f pawn to come into play. And then you take the g pawn. And now he just didn't bother, he just didn't bother. I guess he was worried about taking and like opening up his king, but he just left him alone, which is fine for us. We're happy with that. And then you see, he really didn't do much defense. I think the defense, there may have been one move or something, but other than that, the defense was, let's see how many defensive moves he made. 1, attack, just trades it off, gets rid of kind of just deals with it. 2, okay, come down. See, most of the time he's attacking, but he just, takes a few moments. That's instructive. 3, no more defense. So it's like 3 or 4 defensive moves, right?
Yeah.
But that's important because we can't always just say, oh, all my moves are attacking, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. So now it's not just that you make a direct defensive move, but it's that you're searching as part of your candidate move search. You search all your moves and say, are they legitimate? Well, we do a same thing. We basically do a candidate move search for our opponent, and that's going to make our calculation tree. Oh, I go here, they go here, I go here, they go here. But you have to know that they go here, right? You have to think about they go here. It's just like it's the same. It's just a more complex version of you saying, hey, I got to look at all my candidate moves. Oh, I didn't see that I had this brilliant, queen sack. It wasn't in your candidate move search. Well, you also got to look and say, wait, do they have a brilliant queen sack in response to my, rook lift or something? So you really have to do that. You don't have to make defensive moves, but the defensive ideas have to factor into your calculation tree.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's high level chess, and that's chess that doesn't blow positions, that doesn't throw masterpieces in the trash, right? Which it will sometimes if you don't do that. We're not perfect, right? And our opponents will find brilliancies, or they're maybe going to cheat with the computer sometimes and demoralize us, right? Unfortunately, that's why I prefer in person. But yeah, you guys have all had it happen, right?
Yeah.
Where they cheat. Yeah, and then they're like, oh, the computer finds some miraculous escape. Like in this game, there was one moment to draw, but I don't know, that was probably impractical. Yeah, and then it was too late. But you see, all this is the result. Well, it was an accurate play by his opponent and like really, really good play by him. But everything that happened every single pawn that he pushed. Wait, how about the E pawn? The E pawn was pushed earlier. That was his system. And then the D pawn was the result of the C6 buttressing it. And then the F pawn was the result of attacking the knight. And then his F3 move kind of worked against him. Well, I mean, yeah, taking the exchange was a very bad idea. That was like, yeah, that was not good. I mean, let's say I'm just curious, let's say he had done a defensive move like knight F2. What do we do here? We can't quite steamroll yet. We just like play rooks yet. What would we do? We keep attacking him directly. Computer recommends
How
what?
about um, queen to E3, followed by bishop to H4, and
Okay.
then
Okay, undermine that. Well, let me ask you something. Okay, once again, anticipating their best reaction. If you're on E3, well, you got to take some moves to set up new threats. Yeah, bishop H4. If they go G3, you take F3. I see that. But first, what's their move? How do they try to thwart you if you go queen E3?
probably bring the queen back, or
What's a more direct move? Very simple way to handle your queen.
uh, a rook.
Yeah, that's it. So again, just thinking of this. No, I mean you just mentioned the candidate move. It doesn't mean you have to think it's just something you throw out there, as you should look at it. Then you're like, oh wait, now the computer's saying like what? Take on E8. Taking on wait, what if you take back? It's saying take E8. If you take back, it is saying bishop H4. But if you take back, he just shoves his C pawn. Yeah, it's saying bishop H4 actually. But then simply rook up to guard. And you got nothing there. So you see he has too many defensive. But I mean, just the direct rookie one. And then you got to run away, right? I would be also looking at Queen G5. That's actually pretty tempting.
Yeah,
That's a little, but then he has like knight H3. Okay, let's go G6. He can still take E8 because you take F3. I mean, he could just move his rook up again. He can guard laterally. Just not quite enough there. But the computer says winning is bishop A6. Let's see why. Say the queen decides to do something like this. And then now we're the ones that are going to go after their queen. Try and trade queens. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's even saying, just it's saying simply just take it and just play this position. Just with a beautiful position. So, that wouldn't be as glorious, but like, that's pretty you're still making use of your pawns. And you're still gonna have like at least 2 connected pass pawns. Right? You're saying like D2. I mean, it's just bad. Now you're threatening bishop E2. Yeah, but this is all very strong. The way it went though was even more glorious. And it's kind of like you have those moments in your career, like let's say you all have it too, but like really famous people, they don't get this every game, like the game of the century. That was a once in a century opportunity. So, it's kind of a little bit of luck in that sense. Not that he'd win, but luck in the sense that you'd have a scenario that arises. It's not serendipity. You don't always get those kinds of amazing scenarios, but you got to play brilliantly. The scenario comes about. Well, you play great game, you got a scenario. Then you play brilliantly to exploit it, like the game of the century. Fischer played perfectly, but it wasn't just like he can force it. Be like, oh, you're going to have this position. It depends what his opponent does. Like this position. This is like Le Bourdonnais' most famous game. He can't be like, oh, I'm going to get 3 connected pass pawns against you on the second rank, right? His opponent had to help him a little bit. You know what I mean? He never took those pawns, right? So you can thank your opponent for doing that. And hey, I mean, if you lose a brilliant game, be like, your opponent can thank you and be like, all right, I'm part of chess history now. I helped you play a brilliant game, and hopefully someone else will help me play a brilliant. I mean, they'll help you a little bit, to the extent that they don't play perfectly, gives you opportunities, but then you got to brilliantly exploit it. Does that make sense? So that's chess, right? The karma, I call it chess karma. So, but it's like Tall said, one of them, he said like apparently the greatest day of his life was a certain game he lost, but basically he's being very gracious about it. But like, he's like, look, you deserve it, right? And I deserve it when I get a brilliant win, right? That's how it goes. So, but yeah, great stuff. Le Bourdonnais, great stuff to learn from these classics. So, did you guys get something out of that?
yeah.
Yeah.
At least you know that you know the model, and again, the defensive just keeping that in mind, as you said, it's interesting what you said, Matt, about Petrosian earlier. That he said he is not the kind of guy who might get a pawn storm. But I mean, hey, it's a motif available to him. But interestingly, in both cases, good defensive play allowed that to happen. That's just like kind of like a theme that just happened to come up in these games. But it's interesting, they're not. We can look at miniatures, where there's just just crush them, caveman, just charge, charge with your spears or whatever. But it doesn't always work out that way, especially nowadays. You got to win in much more subtle ways. You might have to defend for a while too. Then you'll have your opportunities. Cool. I'll stop the recording on that one.